The NFL draft is upon us, and now it's time to really get into which one of these players is going to be a New York Giant. Today, we'll be going over the candidates that can be drafted with the third overall pick for the Giants. Let's go. What is going on, guys? What is going on, 27 Squad? Welcome back into another video. And I know this was long awaited because I probably should have gotten this video done earlier, but I really wanted to get done with all of the film for the top prospects in this year's draft to really get a good grip on what I feel about the class overall and what I feel about which players can be drafted or should be drafted by the Giants with that third overall pick. So thank you all for the support this season. This is probably my best year so far, my best season so far as a content creator, and let's hope it gets even more better from here on out. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support you guys have shown me throughout the years, and especially this year as well. We are on the precipice, about 120 subscribers away from 9,000. Let's try to get to 9, then to 10K. Hopefully, let's try to get to 10K before the draft starts. That would be absolutely awesome. So let's get into it. But before we start, we got to thank our sponsors of the channel, BetUS. Make sure you guys check out BetUS for a 150% sign-up bonus, up to $2,000 on your first deposit. Your second and third are 125%. Those playoff games are going on right now, and I'll tell you right now, I've been hitting big on those. So far on the wild card weekend, I was hitting big. It seems a little bit more easier to predict these playoff teams because you know who they are at this point, so you have a better chance of making some money. Make sure you guys use the promo code YouTube150, though. Don't forget about that, and make sure you bet responsibly. All right, so you guys know this would have been a much easier video to make back then, before the Giants lost the first overall pick, because at this point we would only be talking about maybe, both the quarterbacks, and then maybe like Abdul Carter or something like that, right? Who a lot of people consider as the best player in this draft, or like a Travis Hunter, but I don't think that would happen. But I would throw that in there just to be sure. But now that the Giants have the third overall pick, this gets a lot more interesting. And as I've been watching the film, my take is a lot more interesting. Let's go. So I have 6 prospects that the Giants should consider for the third overall pick. As far as a big board is concerned, I am not really sure how I would order some of them, but I do have a feel about where I would take these quarterbacks. So let's start off with the first player. I'm not going to sit here and make a big board because I don't want to have to commit to it. Let's just start off with Cam Ward. Now, Cam Ward, he's 6'2", 223 out of Miami. Now, he is a quarterback that has worked his way up the ranks. He started off at a JUCO school, Incarnate Word, for 2 years, then played another 2 years at Washington State, where if he were to come out in that draft, a lot of people had him as like a second round, third round, somewhere in the day 2 round prospect. And now, he's considered as a first round pick. And even though he doesn't really he's not really a top quarterback. Like, if you put him in a lot of these other quarterback classes, he probably wouldn't be the top quarterback in those classes. But he still is probably my favorite quarterback he is my favorite quarterback of this draft class, and he is right now the only quarterback I would consider really worth it in the first round. And we'll talk a little bit about Shedeur later, but let's just talk about Cam Ward for right now. Now, if you watch Cam Ward, the first thing that really jumps out to you is his exceptional release. He has one of the most quickest releases that I've ever seen from a quarterback. Not that it's extremely phenomenal or anything, but the way he zips the ball forward is amazing to see, because it just literally just comes out of his hand like a video game. Like if you were in Madden and you had the quarterback throwing the ball and he just kind of like makes the animation and the ball is just zooming another 25 yards. That's pretty much Cam Ward. He finished the season as a Heisman candidate. He threw for 4,300 yards, 39 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That is a very, very good stat line. Let's go into a little bit of his pros and cons. His pros and cons, like I said, he's a very, very fast release thrower, very quick with it, has a quick twitch release, and he could throw from absolutely almost every angle. He has extreme poise and calmness in the pocket. If you watch him, you would think he's just like nonchalant. If you ever saw Ashton Genty in the backfield, he's literally the quarterback version of that. He is so nonchalant, cool, calm, and collected. It's not a sign that he just doesn't care. It's more a sign of how confident he is in his own ability to get the job done, where he's not as technical. We'll talk about that in the cons in a second, but he's extremely well scrambler. He can scramble to extend the play and push the ball downfield. Now, he's deceptively athletic. He is not much of a rusher, or he's not really going to beat you with his legs by any means, but he can find a way to get out the pocket and throw on the run, which he is very, very good at. Extremely accurate on the run, and most of his highlights are just when a play breaks down, he's able to extend the play and find a receiver downfield. He is not afraid of throwing to a covered receiver. He is not afraid of zipping the ball with touch over defenders and trying to get to his receiver. It doesn't matter. Now, he does come with some cons. His throwing motion and that quick twitch throwing motion really comes with kind of the perk of not being as accurate and not having the best ball placement when you throw that ball. It's very quick, so it comes out fairly fast, and the timing could be off, the ball placement could be off, the accuracy or maybe the tightness of the football spiral could be off as well. It's not the prettiest ball you've ever seen, and we'll get into more about when we talk about Shedeur Sanders, and also footwork and technique, as far as his hitches go, his backdrop and setting your feet as you throw. It's very, very inconsistent. That's something that I think that he will learn and adapt in the NFL, something he can clean up. It's not something that you just can't learn, but as far as that interfering with his quick release, it may just do that because he really just doesn't have time to set his feet when he throws. He just launches it. Sometimes he launches it right as soon as he snaps it, but sometimes he has a wide base and it causes the ball to be inaccurate and things like that. But as far as arm strength is concerned, he has no problem with that at all. Another thing, he plays a lot of hero ball, right? He tries to extend the ball downfield, and it could get him into some trouble. You look at that Virginia Tech game where he threw 2 pick sixes in that game, but I'll tell you what, that negative sometimes turns into a positive, where he is the reason why that team is down, but he always remains cool. He always remains calm, doesn't get flustered at all, and he just wants to go out there on the next drive and make a play and win the game. And he did just that in that Virginia Tech game. That showed me a lot about the type of player he is. He may get you in a rut. This is why he's one of the riskier quarterbacks to take. He may get you in a rut. He may be the reason why your team is down, but he is trying to do everything he can to make sure they win the game. And a lot of the times in the fourth quarter, he comes out on top. Next up, we have Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur is 6'2". Everybody, I don't know what's true. We'll wait till the actual combine stuff comes out. But Shedeur Sanders is 6'2", 215. But I'll be honest, he does not look 215 at all. Sort of has a wide receiver type build. Not that that's too much of an issue, but I've seen Bleacher report him as 198 pounds. That seems like a little bit more like it. He definitely does not look 215 to me. But Sanders, obviously Deion Sanders' son, prime times kid, prime time 2.0, coming out at the quarterback position. He also has a little bit of a rise to the occasion, where he started off at Jackson State for 2 years, was a starter there, and then finished his college career at Colorado, all with Deion Sanders and Travis Hunter. He also threw for 4,000 yards this season, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Him and Cam Ward are tied for big-time throws this season with 28. That is exceptional from both quarterbacks. And he had 7 turnover-worthy plays. That is something to note, because Cam Ward has 17 turnover-worthy plays. So that's a big difference between Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. And if you watch them play, both of their play styles, it shows. Shedeur Sanders isn't a guy that's like Cam Ward, where he wants the big play at all times. Shedeur is more so like a surgeon. He's gonna, break down the defense and take what the defense gives him. Not to use game manager in a bad sense, but he really allows his receivers to go ahead and make the play. He has a lot of trust in these guys. He was playing with Travis Hunter for a very, very long time, and he's extremely accurate with the football in the short intermediate range. His ball placement is exceptional, and his accuracy is also well, and he throws a very pretty football. Those are probably his best traits that Shedeur Sanders has. He's very smart with the football. He knows, he reads the field very well, and he goes through his progressions, and he hits the receivers where they need to be hit, especially in the middle of the field. A lot of these college quarterbacks quarterbacks have a tough time throwing towards the middle of the field. You look at Jaden Daniels last season, who didn't find much success throwing to the middle of the field. Neither did Michael Penix Jr., and these guys seem to be just fine in the NFL. Shedeur Sanders can throw in the middle of the field. He can absolutely rip it, and he's extremely accurate on those short out routes that a lot of quarterbacks have an issue working with. His timing is very, very good. He also has a mobility factor to him. Now, like I said, similar enough to Cam Ward, he doesn't have the athletic ability that is going to absolutely be a factor in a game where he's going to run for, have like a Jalen Hurts sort of impact for, in an NFL game. I don't think he's going to be that much of an impact with his mobility, but he can definitely extend the play, get out the pocket, scramble to try to find a receiver downfield. That's the type of player that I see in Shedeur Sanders. He's not as fast. If he runs out the pocket and tries to gain some yards, he's not going very far. Now, he's the total opposite when it comes to Cam Ward as far as technique goes. He knows how to set his feet. He drops back very cleanly, very smoothly. His throwing motion is very solid as well. It's not super fast of a release, but also not slow. It's kind of perfect in a sense. It's a very good throwing motion. He has exceptional touch on the football. This guy knows how to place a football, especially short to intermediate. We'll talk about that deep ball in a second, but he can hit those hole shots. If I have to pick a quarterback out of those two to give me, a fade route in between a cover two, between the flat defender and the safety, give me Shedeur Sanders when it comes to that. He can hit those hole shots, get over the linebackers, get over a defender, and hit his receiver for a first down. He has excellent control of the football. Now, we talked about how he had exceptional short to intermediate ball placement and accuracy, but that quickly drops off when he tries to go deep. Now, it's not the ball placement and accuracy that's the problem. He's pretty much hindered by his arm strength. I don't know how much he can evolve that in the NFL. I haven't really ever seen a quarterback just flip a switch and just have a lot better arm strength going into the NFL, starting off as a prospect. But Shedeur Sanders does not have a great arm. It's a good arm. Does he have an NFL arm? I would say so, but I think he's going to be, a playbook, an offensive scheme is going to be hindered by his ability to not hit deep shots very well. It's not timing that's an issue. It's not ball placement or accuracy. It's just that he can't get the ball over there. It floats in the air way too long. A lot of these times he's bailed out. Like, it shows up on the stat sheet as a 40-yard dot by Shedeur Sanders, but if you watch it, it's either Jimmy Horn or Travis Hunter or Will Shepard having to stop for a ball and just make a play and just be the better guy getting the ball. Who wants it more? Kind of a game of jackpot or something, where you're forcing these receivers to kind of moss the defenders to get the football because Sanders just can't get it there sometimes. And I think that could be a problem going into the NFL. Now, you could see it even on these plays in the intermediate where he needs to zip a ball really fast. You can see his leg lifting up because he's leaning into his throws, absolutely putting everything into those throws, where as far as Cam Ward goes, that it's almost effortless for Cam Ward to get the ball, 15, 20 yards downfield without having to break much of a sweat. It seems like Shedeur Sanders has to try a lot harder in doing that, and that could be a problem in the NFL. He also has a problem to hang in too tight in the pocket. He does, what I applaud about him is that he does want to extend the play and throw the ball downfield. He's not just trying to look to run with his legs all the time. He wants to hang in the pocket, make the tough throw. But unfortunately, that has led to a lot of sacks, where he suffered almost, 38 sacks in the regular season before the college football season. His offensive line is not good at all either. So I'm not going to sit here and say that, he has a stout offensive line, but they have played better this season compared to last season with the team. But you see him blame the offensive line this season for not keeping him upright, and he's been sacked so much times. But if you look at his percentage of pressure that's self-induced, he's at a prospect high right now, 26.8. Let's call it 27%, which is the most of any quarterback prospect in this draft. He's at 27% of self-induced pressure. That is pressure that he is going through himself, that he's causing, holding the ball for too long, not throwing it away, things like that, where he was even accused of by an anonymous coach in college football accused of holding the ball for too long to save his completion percentage, which I don't think is true, but it's crazy that somebody would accuse him of that because, you can see he just holds the ball for too long. Now, if you ask me, the more I watch Shedeur Sanders, the more I am not liking him as that third overall pick. I think the next prospects we're going to talk about, I think I would take over Shedeur Sanders, to be honest with you. As much as the Giants do need a quarterback, I just don't see anything special in Shedeur Sanders' game. I think he just looks like a guy. He just looks like a guy to me. I don't think he possesses anything special, and I definitely don't think he's a franchise quarterback right now, and I don't know if he'll ever get there. We'll see, but I think Cam Ward has a much higher ceiling than Shedeur Sanders, and a lot of people are giving credit for. I think people are thinking that Cam Ward and Shedeur are a lot closer than they are. I don't think that at all. I think Cam Ward is a better prospect, if you ask me. All right, we had a lot of talking, so we have to hurry this up. All right, so the next player I want to talk about is Abdul Carter, edge rusher out of Penn State. This guy is absolutely phenomenal. He is first round worthy. 6'3", 252 pounds, had 13 sacks in his 2024 season, 66 pressure, and a pass rush win rate. Pass rush win rate. Try saying that 5 times fast. Pass rush win rate of 22.6. Abdul Carter is the next edge rusher to come out of Penn State that has a lot of hype around them. It was Chop Robinson last year, Micah Parsons a couple of years before that. They're just producing edge rushers like absolute athletic freaks, and Abdul Carter is nothing short of that. An excellent frame, versatile edge defender. He can line up pretty much anywhere. You can even see him making plays as an off-ball linebacker. I think his best fit is at a weak side edge defender in a 3-4 system, and I think that's where he will thrive. He has a lot of good moves. He has this inside shoulder dip that is absolutely deadly. He can rush from the inside pretty well. He is a speed rusher, I would say. He has long arms, can get around the edge, has a decent bend to him, and has good body control. I really think he's not even close to where he could be, in my honest opinion, because when we get into the cons, he definitely can work on that bend. He slips up a lot. You see a lot of these other edge rushing prospects at the edge position, and they have a lot better of a bend. If he can stay on his feet and have a little bit more bend to his hips and his legs, he can be even more dangerous as a speed rusher. And then just being a prototypical pass rusher, he can get a little bigger, to be honest. If you look at his frame, he can add a little bit more muscle and work on that bull rush, because he can't bull rush very well. He's not a guy that's going to beat you one-on-one, head-to-head. He's got to get around you, and he does that great. So I'm not knocking him too much on that, but if he wants to work on that bull rush, I think he can work on his strength a little bit. On top of that, the pass rush moves. He's not very skilled with his hands yet. He needs to work on the hands. He needs to work on the swims, the dips, the rips, all of that. He's definitely going to learn that in the NFL. That's kind of one of the first things they do. Right now, he's just beating guys with just pure talent, pure athletic ability. And once he unlocks that game where he can learn certain pass rush moves and different combinations, he's going to be an absolute menace. Now, the Giants don't necessarily need a edge rusher this high, but he's one of those guys where if you're picking for best player available, you just take him and you just shut up about it. I know Kayvon Thibodeau was a top 5 pick a couple of years ago, but his contract is going to be coming up soon, and you probably don't want to bring him back because he's just so inconsistent. Abdul Carter would be perfect with Brian Burns. Brian Burns, right now, I know they pay a lot of money to him, but he could always use another pass rusher there. The Giants could just use depth. I don't know why Giants fans just hate depth. They just want starters at every position and no depth. Having Abdul Carter in the rotation, even if Kayvon is still there, is still something I would definitely consider. All right, let's go into Mason Graham out of Michigan, 6'3", 320 pounds. He is an interior defender, and man, I love Mason Graham. If you pair Mason Graham, my God, if you pair Mason Graham with Dexter Lawrence, there is going to be nobody that survives that pocket. My goodness. Mason Graham is an absolute freak of nature on the inside, a pass rushing genius. I mean, he's not even fully polished yet. I think he can work on his pass rush moves, just similar enough to Abdul Carter. Just get better with your hands. A lot of these college prospects aren't that good with their pass rush moves yet, but when they get into the NFL and they unlock that ability, they become absolute menaces. We're talking about an interior defender that had 33 pressures, 5 sacks, a pass rush win rate of 12.9%. Nothing crazy, but it's good. But a true pass rush win rate of 20.6. That is, on one-on-one situations where it's just not like working on screen passes and runs and stuff like that. It's just one-on-one situations. He wins those 20.6% of the time. On top of that, this guy does not miss tackles. Yeah, sure. Does he burst through the line so fast that he leaves a wide open gap behind him and running backs run through it? Absolutely. But when he gets hands on you, you're not going anywhere. He has a missed tackle rate of just 4.8%. That is something you need if you're trying to stop the run. He has a fantastic get off. He is one of the first guys off the line at 320 pounds. If you look at him, he doesn't even look 320. He has a solid, compact frame of just pure muscle. He's a bat out of hell as soon as the snap is made. He has an elite block shedding ability, but there is a little bit of cons to his game as well. His pad level gets way too high sometimes. He plays too high, too upright a lot of the times, and that gets him into a lot of trouble because when it comes to stopping the run, runs that are directed towards him, like these gut runs, these A-gap runs for the offense, when it's directed straight at him and there's offensive linemen, getting in his direction, he gets pushed around a lot. He can get pinballed around. He can get thrown to the ground where he's trying to get there quick, fast, and he kind of gets tripped up and they throw him to the ground. That happens a lot. As far as double teams go, I just never see him beat a double team. Maybe I'm spoiled by watching Dexter Lawrence film all the time, but it's just I've never seen him beat a double team. Once you double team him, he gets stonewalled. So that's something I don't know if he could work on that. I mean, maybe I'm just expecting a little bit too much from a top 5 defensive line prospect, but those are some things that I've noticed that, can be a con to his game. And another thing, his energy completely depletes in the fourth quarter. I've seen in multiple games where he is a bat out of hell in the first quarter, but if you go in the fourth quarter, I mean, his hands get slower, even though he has very violent hands, but his hands get slower, his get off gets slower, his pass rush gets slower, all of it. His legs, churning and that torque gets a lot slower. So, we have a little bit of a question of fatigue and motor. But I still would absolutely take him in the first round if Cam Ward is gone. Again, I'm not much of a Shedeur guy. I think a lot of these guys that are in other positions I would take. And let's talk about Shedeur's boy, the other Colorado kid projected to go in the top 5, Travis Hunter. 6'1", 185 pounds. He plays both positions. We haven't seen a guy that plays both positions like this since Charles Woodson. Playing wide receiver, cornerback. He's an absolute freak of nature. He never takes plays off. He's always on the field. The Heisman Trophy winner as a receiver had 1,258 yards, 15 total touchdowns, and had a forced missed tackle rate of 23 as a wide receiver. That is insane. Does not drop the ball, has an amazing catch radius. He only dropped the ball 3 times this season. Now, I'll start off talking about him as a wide receiver. He's an absolute alpha. He can handle a heavy workload and produce. You could throw him the ball 5 times in a drive, and he is going to go out there and give it his all every single time. His long wingspan allows him to have a huge catch radius, and on top of that, he has the acrobatic ability of Odell Beckham Jr. He can go out and go get a ball. Now, his two-way talent also gives him that instincts and knowledge of the other side where he can slash through a zone so nicely, find the open space, and make a play. He's not really beating many people with his route running ability. I would say his best routes are vertical routes and routes that come back to the ball where he's kind of stemming north and south. I don't think he's that great of an inside breaking route guy. I just don't see it as very crisp, very smooth. But then again, we've seen guys like Devontae Smith, who is my comp to him as a receiver, and Justin Jefferson start off in the NFL as kind of being round routers, right? Not being very crisp with their route running, but they got a lot better in the NFL. So that's not something I really worry about too much. But as a receiver, I don't think anything comes out to you where it says, he's a really good, like the best receiver in this draft. I think he's probably the second best receiver in this draft. That's not knocking him as a receiver, but a lot of people are thinking like he's like Malik Neighbors as a receiver, and he's just not. He's very smart and has a very good chemistry with Shedeur Sanders, so that helps as well. But he has bailed Shedeur Sanders out of a lot of throws this season, I'll tell you that much. Now, looking at him as a cornerback, to be honest with you guys, he is a cornerback at the next level. He is a very, very good corner. I think you could put him at any scheme you want to. I think he's good as a press corner, as a man corner. I think he can work on his press, work on those jams where he misses sometimes. But if he were to focus on one position, I think he's going to be great at it. He can work on those jams and presses off the line because he has longer arms, so he could build some muscle, and that will really help him out with that long wingspan. But he sticks to glue on short and breaking routes, does a very good job breaking on the ball, has a couple of interceptions this season as well, so does a good job as a corner, and he's very instinctual in zone. Like I said, he is a wide receiver and a cornerback. These guys match up with each other all the time, so he knows the mind of a cornerback when he's playing wide receiver, and he knows the mind of a wide receiver when he's playing cornerback. It's a very good trait to have. He's very fluid with his hips. He has excellent body control. He knows when to commit to one side and flip his hips and have that inside or outside leverage. Like he knows how to play the corner position. I think he's a corner at the next level more so than a wide receiver. Now, will we see him play wide receiver in the NFL? Sure, I think he'll have 10 or 15 snaps a game, but in the NFL, you're playing one position. He's going to play one position. It's probably going to be corner. And as far as the Giants go, I'll tell you right now, he would be the number one corner on the New York Giants right now. He would be the number one corner over Deonte Banks. And I think that would benefit even Deonte Banks being that cornerback too and having that tandem work together. And even if he plays wide receiver as well, he would have Malik Neighbors and he would be the complement to Malik Neighbors. I like the idea of Travis Hunter. And the last guy I want to talk about, I really love this prospect. The more I watch him, the more I fall in love with him because he really fits this defense as of right now. It's cornerback Will Johnson out of Michigan. Now, this is the second Michigan guy we've talked about. He's a junior, 6'2", 202. He is at an excellent size for a cornerback. Now, his stats don't jump out at you, right? If anything, it's kind of alarming, right? He allows a catch rate of 61.5%, which is not great. Has only 2 pass breakups this season, but he has 2 interceptions as well. And we also have to talk about that 20.8 missed tackle rate. That is not great to see. That's inching towards Andrew Phillips territory coming out of college. Even though Andrew Phillips cleaned that up very, very nicely, it's still not something you want to see from a cornerback. But what a perfect frame for a cornerback. 6'2", 202 is something that you want to see from a corner, to have a lighter corner but taller, right? His scheme doesn't really benefit him the most. Like, it doesn't really show everything that he can do because he kind of plays blanket coverage a lot where he's just shadowing over top of the receivers. That's how Wink Martindale has that scheme in Michigan, right? Where they're playing over top in a cover 3 and they're kind of just playing, not to get beat deep. So it's very rare that you see Will Johnson in a man press, trail technique where you really see what a cornerback is all about in that trail technique. Close, sticking like glue in man coverage. It's very rare that you see Will Johnson in man coverage. He seems like he can get there. He seems like he could be a decent man corner, but he's a little bit inconsistent when he is running man. He does allow these guys to get away from him a little bit, but he does have the speed to keep up. Like, if a guy is going deep on a fade or a go route or a deep post, he's keeping up with that guy, probably 8 times out of 10. Now, he gives a lot of cushion. This is just a scheme. He gives a lot of cushion, for those receivers, but he breaks on the ball just instantly. His break on the ball is so instant. It is so impressive to watch. Like, he literally just takes one step, and because usually a lot of these corners have to take a couple of steps to break on the ball and gain acceleration to change direction. He does such a great job in doing that. He has very, very fluid hips. I mean, they are smooth like butter. I mean, he can change directions on his back pedal and strafing like so quickly, and flip his hips so quickly. It's fun to watch. He definitely is a high prospect for me. I think you can do a lot with Will Johnson. I think the scheme that he was in Michigan really held him back from showing everything that he can do. Like I said, he breaks on the ball extremely quickly. You can watch all of his interceptions. He has 9 interceptions in his career, and, he breaks on the ball exceptionally well. Now, he needs to work on that jam. He's a little bit lighter, as I said, and, you know, when he tries to jam a receiver, they kind of bully him a little bit. He needs to work on that, but I really like his game. I think there's a lot to work with there, and I would consider him 3rd overall as well. All right, guys, that is a video. I'm sorry if this was a long one. Again, like I said, this would have been a lot easier if the Giants picked 1st overall, and we probably have like 3-4 prospects to talk about, if that. So, that being said, guys, leave your thoughts in the comment section below if you guys enjoyed. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video, as always. What do you guys think the Giants should do at the 3rd overall pick? Do you guys like the guys I mentioned, or do you guys have any other prospects you want to see the Giants draft 3rd overall? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new, and we'll see you all in the next video. Woo!